everyone. Thank you guys so much for coming out today. I appreciate it. As she mentioned, I'm Nick Tooker from Expensify. I'm a generalist, which we'll talk about a little bit. I'm also the head of investor relations. We were fortunate enough to go public in November, which is a big accomplishment. We actually started at Startup Grind in 2008 with David Barrett and I believe just 2 other people and a little table. So fast forward to today, where I'm sitting here talking to you. It's pretty amazing. So what we're going to talk about today is how to operate with an asynchronous company, which is a pretty interesting topic. So let's dig into that a little bit. So Expensify is a radically efficient asynchronous work style that is truly unparalleled. So this is actually a quote that I pulled from David Barrett, who many of you guys probably saw speak yesterday on the main stage. I heard it was pretty much a hit, which is amazing. But basically what we're talking about here is Expensify operates in a very different manner. And so if there's anything that you guys take away from today, I hope it's that you guys can operate however you see fit. You don't have to necessarily fit the mold of what Silicon Valley says a startup needs to scale at. You don't have to have a top-down sales organization if that's not what you so choose to do. There's definitely different ways to do that. And so I'm going to take you through how we operate at Expensify, and I'm going to tell you a couple of the benefits of the way that we run our processes, and hopefully there'll be something in here that you guys can take away as you guys continue to scale. So asynchronous work, what does that mean to us? It means that we literally have global coverage for any and all projects that we're working on. Nothing is waiting for a single point of failure at any time. For example, I'll go home today, I'll pick up on a couple of projects that I've been working on, eat dinner, I'll go to bed, and someone in the UK will wake up and they'll literally open the same doc that I was working on, and they'll begin working on what I was working on, right? So we have basically 24/7 coverage around the world, and everything is extremely open. It is extremely transparent, and that's completely by design. We think that this is the best way to work in the modern day, and that's how we do it. So everyone at Expensify you can think about is a product manager, right? Which is kind of a crazy concept, right? I'm certainly not an engineer, but we do have some engineers that work on the marketing team. We do have some people on the marketing team that dabble into product management. When I say everyone is a product manager, it means everyone was hired to be a product manager. And from there, we kind of stretch out into different areas. So when I started at Expensify, for example, I was a Zero partnership manager. My job was to produce sales leads within the Zero ERP channel. Since then, we've had 4 to 5 different people wear that hat because they raised their hand and they wanted to wear that hat. I now run investor relations. I deal with our public investors. And oddly enough, I still answer success tickets for our customers. I still work with our top customers on their retention issues. This is all possible very deliberately by hiring for generalism. So we're not hiring specifically for a salesperson. We're not hiring specifically for a head of investor relations like a lot of public companies would. Rather, when we went and IPO'd in November, we needed someone to build a banking syndicate. I raised my hand. I thought that sounded like a cool idea. I have the skills to learn how to do that, and over the course of the last year, was able to basically step up and do that. Eventually, someone will replace me as head of investor relations, and they'll do that because I have taught them how to do it, and I've been able to do that and now move on to something else. So how do we do it? These are literally the only 4 tools that we use at Expensify. We use Slack, we use GitHub, we use Stack Overflow, and we use Google Suite. So let's start with Slack. Slack is literally our world. We run everything through Slack. We communicate on Slack. We have all of our meetings through Slack. We do not really have in-person meetings unless it's a last-minute resort. Like if we need to escalate to an in-person meeting, we will. But most of the time, everything that we do can be solved in Slack. And the reason for this is because it leaves a history that anyone on the global workforce can come and find and refer to and continue to work asynchronously without having to say, hey, Nick, can I ask you this question? No, you don't need to ask that question because you already have everything that you need within this Slack meeting. It's already laid out for you, right? GitHub. I had never used GitHub before working in Silicon Valley. We used it as a project management tool. We literally use GitHub from everything from a press release to merging, a new feature within the product. So GitHub is a central source of project management for everything that we do. Again, the reason that we do this and the benefit of it is everyone has access to everyone's GitHub. Everyone can see everything that's going on. I can see everything that David Barrett is working on. I can see every time he pushes a release. I can see every time he comments on someone else's GitHubs if I so choose to. Stack Overflow. This is basically anytime you have a question, you should go to Stack Overflow because the answer is probably already going to be there. Again, drawing all back to the point of you don't need to ask anyone for permission. You can work asynchronously with the resources that have been provided before you. Google Suite. We have something called Design Docs that I'm going to hop into in a minute. Basically, everything that we do is in a Google Doc. Every part of the company that is contributing to a given project works within one doc. So everyone is seeing what everyone else is commenting on. Everyone is seeing the pushback that other people have, and they're able to form their own ideas and basically contribute where they want to at any time of the day or the night. A good quote is David Barrett once said, "The sun never sets on the Expensify empire," which is kind of cheeky. But it's actually true if you think about it, right? Literally, there is someone in the world working on a project that someone else has just put down at Expensify every minute of every day. So the what's next process. Okay, so you're probably thinking like, great, it sounds like butterflies and rainbows. Everyone can work on whatever they want. Everyone's a product manager, but how do you kind of prioritize, what actually gets put to the front of the line? It's called the what's next process. In essence, it's just a single Slack channel that everyone is invited to as soon as they start at Expensify. Think of it as the Congress of your company, right? So everything goes here to be decided on. The great part about it is you have 150, that's how many employees that we have, about, don't quote me on that. You have 150 minds basically contributing on your idea at one time. It all starts with a very simple problem that you're looking to solve and your proposed high solution. You're then going to get feedback from all of your peers on that. And so for example, problem. We haven't gone to Startup Grind in over 10 years and we want to show the market Expensify, right? Solution, let's go to Startup Grind this year. Then everyone would discuss basically how we're going to implement that in this first Slack proposal, right? So everyone weighs in on this one process. Everyone basically votes, gives it a thumbs up, a thumbs down. Some crazy ideas never get through. They stay in that Slack channel forever, right? Some ideas turn into the Expensify card or next day reimbursement or all these different features that we've put out over the years, right? So everything basically starts in this central Slack channel and we go from there. So after people have basically agreed, hey, this is a great idea, we should go for it, it goes to the design stage. So as I mentioned, everything we do is in Google Docs, and we call these design docs. So basically what we'll do is we'll set up a Slack meeting. It's called a pre-design meeting. It's basically to road test all of the kinks, right? So you have marketing people, you have engineers, you have success people. Everyone is collaborating at one time about a given project so that everyone is thinking about every aspect of that project and it's completely road tested before we even go to designing how we would code something or what would be our communication plan for a given project. The great thing about this, again, is anyone in the world can kind of weigh in, right? You'll get an email and say, hey, someone has just posted this design doc. It's about going to Startup Grind. Check it out when you can. If that's something I really care about and I want to contribute on, I'm able to then go into that design doc, volunteer and raise my hand and basically become a mini project manager for one aspect of this larger project that the entire company is working on. So how do we do the nitty-gritty work that no one wants to talk about, right? The things that aren't these big projects, the things that aren't these big swings. We have the concept of teams and chores. So teams are not traditional teams. They are basically opt-in teams. So for example, I've given you my teams. I work on the retention team, which means I take shifts talking to our top customers and finding their pain points and figuring out how we can go through the next contract renewal or how we can push a feature that they want. I work on the XFi team. That means I'm head of investor relations. I run our earnings calls in a round-robin fashion. I work on kind of the insider accounting things that come with being a public company. I also am on the marketing content and partners teams. Attending conferences like this is part of the marketing content team. So all of these teams fill in these little chores, these tasks, right, that need to be done in order for a company to move forward. Not everyone can just work on the next big project, right? But the cool part about it is everyone has the opportunity to join any of these teams at any time, and it's their choice, right? And so they are opt-in, and that kind of makes for a really cool asynchronous environment. It all comes together with GitHub Auto Assigner. So this is something I had never seen before. It's literally the lifeblood of our company now. GitHub Auto Assigner basically means that everyone on a single team is going to be assigned a chore in a round-robin fashion, right? And so every few months, I might get a ping and it says, hey, Nick, this week, it's your turn to be on social media duty. Here's a Stack Overflow containing all the information that you need to know in order to do social media duty. I say, great, I need a little refresher. I read the Stack Overflow, I sign into our social accounts, and for that week, I'm handling our social media duty. I'm the person that's on the marketing content team that has gotten round-robin this chore to do this. That way you're not getting overspent, you're not spending too much time on one single task, one single chore, and in between your chores, you're able to go work on those design docs, you're able to go work on those large projects that I was discussing earlier. So why would you not just take these big swings? Why would you not say, I want to be the head of investor relations, I want to be the guy that's coming up with the next corporate card, I want to be the guy that's pushing out the next feature, or I want to be the full stack engineer that's the total rock star? It's because of our compensation process, which is pretty insane. I don't think any other company in the world does this. If they do, I'd love to talk to them. But how it works is basically every 6 months, everyone in Expensify rates each other on their performance. It's kind of like a very weird thing to say, but it's a Tinder-style UI where we all go through and say, who deserves to be paid more, Nick or David? David or Bob? Bob or Alice? And I have my little profile, Bob has his little profile. It says Nick, he's on the XFi team. He's contributed this many GitHubs. He's been in Slack for this long during the last 6 months. All of your stats are kind of lined up, and then it's up to your peers to basically determine if you deserve to make more money than the person next to you. Everyone in the company is required to do this. We do it every 6 months. You do that about 3,000 times. You run it through an algorithm, and you get a pretty nice set of clean data on the ranking of the company and, in comparison, how they should be paid. David always jokes that he is also part of this process. The only people that determine David, the CEO and founder of Expensify's compensation, are people like me and my peers. I'll end with that, but the biggest takeaway that I wanted you guys to have today is that we started in 2008. It was about 3 people. We are now 150 people. We went public last year. We have over $1 million in revenue per employee at Expensify, which is easily top 10 in public SaaS. Pretty soon we'll be shooting for oil company numbers. You can do things differently. You can do things any way that you want and still succeed, still become a public company, and still scale. Thanks.